The presentation of today's racing program is a copyrighted broadcast of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, recreation, or retransmission of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses and a happy post-Thanksgiving. Back in action here at Aqueduct after a strong winds canceled yesterday's card, and I can understand that. Winds were whipping in the city, and it's always worse out here than it is in New York City. But we are back today and tomorrow. 10 race cards, stakes throughout the cards. Anthony Stabile to my left, be joining us in just a moment. Lots to talk about, lots for you to do as well. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, we'll match up to $200 deposit. Use the promo code Big A. Think of Naira Bets, think of Anthony Stabile. 10% winners bonus through the app only on doubles all day today at Aqueduct. Play those doubles, get that 10% winners bonus. Anthony, nice Thanksgiving?
It was fantastic. Yes, it was. And don't forget today on Black Friday to buy me plenty of Christmas presents, Andy. Holidays are right around the corner, less than 4 weeks.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Black Friday sales are bounding.
Think about Anthony. Just send him cash.
I wasn't talking about them. I was talking about you.
Oh, me? Mm-hmm. I don't get Christmas presents. I don't celebrate Christmas.
What can I have? Can I have anything?
I don't celebrate Christmas.
Get a lunch rebate maybe on Black Friday?
You won 2 lunches, you're down to 34. Anyway, race number 1, we'll get our action going. 4 horses coming out of the same race, including Any Day Is Her Day, who finished second. Doll. Doll is probably going to win this race. The board, pay no attention to the board right now. Doll will be a heavy favorite. And Doll does have a probable better pace scenario today than she faced last time, but she's getting a little tiresome. I think if you're trying to beat her, the question is, which one of the 6 Am Impossible and the 7 Clever Tail you want? I'll talk about their trips a bit. Am Impossible basically just sort of was on the rail and then kind of angled out in the 4 path. I thought she did some running. I actually think Clever Tail, though, second off a layoff, might be the one you want the most. I took a shot with this one on top. Not a big deal, not a strong opinion. I do think Doll is a likely winner at a short price here. But Clever Tail actually had a lot of speed in there and was forcing the pace and then was sort of taken out of it badly and then dragged back. And thought the Clever Tail this time would be in that stalking position outside of Doll with Raylu Gutierrez. And putting blinkers on might be the best alternative. Don't have a strong opinion. 5, 6, or 7 should win. Doll will probably get it done, but I just didn't want to take her on top again.
Yeah, I took her on top just because she'll probably control in here. She has the race off the 3-month break. I know the service horse usually fire best, but she ran one of the slowest races. She actually ran the slowest race of her life. We'll see if that's an indication that she's going the wrong way or if she just needed to knock the rust off a little bit. I thought it was her. The blinkers go on. Clever Tail, we'll see if that helps her. Second off her break from February. I thought they were the 2, maybe a little Am Impossible second time, but yeah, I thought Doll should. Am
Impossible is not impossible to win this race. We'll see. We'll see how Am Impossible does. I'm not sure. I thought Clever Tail was the one I wanted the most out of those 2, but it's close. I could see either one, and we'll see what prices they are as well. Race number 2. Race number 2, to me, was about as competitive and difficult a race as you can find. And, you know, I want to make a quick mention. David, there's a little bit of a Twitter discussion with Jerome Avenue. Somebody said, and I agreed with him, how could David make Jerome Avenue the favorite? And I said, when David does these things and I don't agree, he's usually much more correct than I am by a lot. You've got Jerome Avenue 4th, and he came back and said, well, I thought people might like his speed in this race. I don't understand the value of speed, particularly in these races. I don't see how he's a contender in this race.
I don't think, I think David's is good at
It's great in these situations.
I think
probably
he's
right.
as good at what he
does
don't
see it.
Because he doesn't necessarily allow his handicapping principles to get in the
we
way
all
of
do a little
making the
bit.
line. I don't.
We all do a little
I don't, because I agree with him. I feel like people will look at this race and they will gravitate towards the horse like Jerome
These races
Avenue.
in the turf are awful.
I understand that, but he also has races on there that are in for the allowance condition. You see the stakes race. He does have the speed. I agree with him. I don't know if he's going to be the clear-cut favorite. Now, 3-1, 4-1, to me, is a pretty clear-cut favorite on a board like this. But I think he will be around that 3-1, 7-2. Whether that makes him favorite or not, I don't know.
He's probably right. I couldn't.
But I can't imagine this horse being higher than 4-1.
I had this race open to a lot of horses. He was not one of them. You have the number 8, Robin Hood, on top. Hold off on the stat, Jose, please.
Yeah. I just wanted a fresh face around here. You know, I've seen enough of Honey Won't and the Coral Legacy race when he won the 2 Lifetime. He beat a real suspect bunch that day, though I guess he can win. You know, I'm Variant Perception ran okay last time. These horses, I've seen enough of them. I want a little bit of a fresh face for a horse who has limited turf form, but kept him pretty good company. Abiding Star, Nakamura, Litterer's Card. I mean, you know, these are horses that would bury
second
them.
in the point of entry.
Yeah.
I understand, and I think Robin Hood will be favored in here, and I'm not sure in some ways he shouldn't be favored in here. I got a stat on Graham Motion, and we've used this before. Graham Motion's number, when he's dumping them into claiming races, they are terrible. And I don't think this is a knock on Graham. I think it's a very pointed stat that says when Graham wants them in a claiming race, there's a reason, and he does not want them anymore, and they don't run well. So for that reason, while I would use him defensively, I don't want him. Now, I think it's very important to discuss a bunch of things here. One is the November 7th race that Variant Perception's coming out with. That was when the rails got good here. That was the week that the rail was very, very strong. For those who don't remember, it was the second week here that ran from a Thursday through a Monday. And if you weren't on the rail, you were in trouble in these turf races. We've already seen a horse come back and win with a big win turned aside here that was chasing just in the 2-path. Variant Perception, 2-path the rail, but spent most of the race in the 2-path. But also, that was a race that featured a very, very slow pace. And Playing Hooky was on the rail and setting the pace, and Croc Monsieur, who was outside of him, they ran 1-2 around the racetrack. So the track came into play very much, and the dynamics. Not only was Variant Perception compromised by that, but so was Coral Legacy, because Coral Legacy was way back off that pace and was also 3 wide around the racetrack. So Coral Legacy was badly compromised. And in a race for me where I find it very, very tricky, and I don't disagree that Coral Legacy is no superstar, but I don't know who the superstars in this race are.
There aren't any.
Coral Legacy was way against the track and actually didn't run that badly when you consider how much he was against the track. I have to pick him. You know, Quality Choice comes off a gold rail trip and win. Honey Won't did have a lot of trouble in his last start. They missed a bad shuffle that horse had around an 1/8 to a 1/4 mile into the race, but I don't really know how much I love the stretch out, though he's run okay stretching out, but he's not that good. I think another, Anthony, the 6, I'm surprised that you have completely left another out in this race. Another last time chased outside against an honest pace set by Dream Friend, who would be 1-9 in this field. And you start looking at his races, he's not a 6-furlong horse. His race 3 back against Indiana could win this. He's got nothing but legitimate race could win this. I think that another's a major player in this race, a major player. Okay. And if people in here like Robin Hood or even Jerome Avenue off a theoretical drop, how would they not like another?
Listen,
and he was against the track last time.
You can make a case, like you said. You left a lot of horses open in here. You make a case for 7 or 8 horses in this race.
I wouldn't say 7 or 8, but I think that it's an open race. But for me, I'm going to focus on a couple of horses that were against the track, and I have to be playing horses.
They're going to be good prices too. Right. So okay.
There aren't going to be too many opportunities to bet on horses that were against that bias here at Aqueduct. Race number 3. Race number 3, there are logical players. One of them is the horse we'll look at here, Summer Sangria. These are maidens going 6 furlongs on the turf. And Summer Sangria, this last race was fine. And obviously, Chimney Rock, who finished second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. It's a mouthful. It's just a logical horse, but has failed twice with the lead. But this is the horse to beat, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Ran against boys both times, running against fillies today. I think that's Does that matter? She's going to be. I think it does.
Sometimes the fillies have an edge earlier in their careers, don't they?
I think it matters.
You think if she was running against girls there, she would have won?
I don't know.
I think the testosterone was flying in mid-stretch, and
she got beat by a horse that got beat 3/4 of a length to a horse that's undefeated.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a weird race, that juvenile turf sprint. Pace held together. I'll tell you what, Chimney Rock made the right decision. He wasn't beating Turd Aside here the other day.
No, he probably wasn't.
Not beating that horse the other day. Saratoga Love, I thought Saratoga Love, I prefer the two. I don't know, it was close. I didn't really care. Saratoga Love and Mazel 18 ran together. I will say in this race, Saratoga Love made the first aggressive move that helped collapse the race and sort of helped set it up for the stablemate who came along. I thought the race was falling apart. I think Mazel 18 ran fairly well. I'm not sure how good this race was in retrospect.
I thought this horse ran okay. Like you said, she kind of forced the issue early on, and it worked out perfectly. An entry utilized perfectly. But again, I'm with you. I don't know. Look, I kind of got caught up in the face the boys going to get loose on the lead with Summer St. Green and just think today's the day. And after that, to me, I don't know if I got a little too narrow-minded about the race. I didn't really care for the race that either Mazel 18 or Saratoga Love ran last time, and I put them second and third, so I think that's really where my mind is at here in the third.
We know one trainer that's not watching Talking Horses. I wanted to get a little bit goofier in here because I don't think either 7 or 6 are superstars. I have no argument that they're the two horses to beat, but I don't want to ignore Canarsie Angel. Canarsie Angel's first race wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. I'm not going to ignore this trainer change to Mike Maselli.
Okay.
He's tried to get this horse in 3 times. He scratched out a dirt race where the horse wasn't impossible. Mike Maselli's barn has been going very, very well. To me, this is a significant trainer change to Mike. I want to put this horse on top. And I'm going to use Gotta Go Mo. I know the damn Hard to Stay Not Go was more of a dirt horse, but they paid a lot of money for this horse. And first time out, chased Fierce Lady, who obviously ran this killer race.
Took money, 2 to 1. This horse was 2 to 1 on
Well,
debut.
it was a $400,000 two-year-old purchase, so it's not surprising she took money with the pedigree, too. The dam was very good. And Uncle Mo, this horse has a pedigree to say it could handle the turf and more than ready dam, and Uncle Mo is the sire. I want to use 2 horses in here. I want the 3 or 4. I'm not saying I wouldn't have 7, 6, and 7s on my pick 5 ticket, but I want to have these 2 horses as well, so I want to draw attention to them.
Okay.
Race number 4. Race number 4, 2 Finding Fame came out. You've got 1 that ran and 4 that didn't. You put the 1 that ran on top. Let me ask you a question. Are you a little scared of Bejewel after Autonomous, who drowned her last time, ran as badly as she did at Penn National the other night?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely am.
Yeah, I mean, that scared me.
She didn't run well the other night. Short turnaround. This horse too, shortish turnaround, right? A little over 3 weeks. I just didn't care for any of the firsters in here, and the rest of them are firsters. And this filly has a couple of races. Drop Toscano horses, normally we see them come off the layoff, they need a race. More often than not, it's the same case with the first-time starters, which appeared to be the case here. This horse did not run that well first time out. Passed some horses after breaking slowly. Broke second time, ran well second time. I know Autonomous didn't fire. I'm just hoping for her to improve a little bit more and handle a handful of first-time starters who I wasn't thrilled with.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be David making the line here. It's funny. The Dial Me Up is just the pedigree's nothing. I mean, it really is nothing to be inspired about.
I think
at
here,
all.
when you're in David's situation here, you make the morning line based on history, right?
He looks at works. I mean, does a fantastic job. I'm not disagreeing with his line. I'm saying he's got Dial Me Up as the favorite, not for me. Vibrancy, a homebred for for Brad Cox. This horse is a half to Arch You My Baby, by the way. Mm-hmm. I took that's my cue for John Terranova. It's half to 1 horse that could run a little bit. I don't know. I respect John Terranova. I'm going to take this horse in the rail.
Now, you know the racing form story. I start my work on the computer and had the wrong PPs printed out, so I had to go
that story,
so I had to buy a form. David has a very telling stat about John Terranova in his closer look in the form. 1 for 38 over the last 5 years with dirt firsters. And that scared me a little bit. For a guy who doesn't really, and this number was a lot lower on the 2-year number with the 2-year-olds in general. He just didn't win with 2-year-olds. That number's gotten better, but that 1 for 38 scared me a little bit.
It's a big number. All right. Where are we going
And
now?
that's David's stat. That is not my stat.
Well, we know it's not your stat. You never look up stats. How could it possibly be your stat?
I just want to give credit where credit's due.
Race number 5. We're on the turf for the Forever Together.
On the turf all day.
What?
We're on the turf all day.
Well, I can't wait until the President's Weekend Winter Turf Festival. That's going to be amazing.
I'll tell you what.
There's people that are believing me right now. That's how insane we are here.
Our turf course in February is a lot better than some other turf courses in February.
You make a great point. Race number 5, the Forever Together. First Forever Together, Jonathan Shepard won the Diana twice, I think, or I think twice, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she paid $20 the first time. I bet her, actually.
I think she was the last back-to-back until Sister Charlie this year.
That makes sense. That makes sense. There probably haven't been too many back-to-backs with Diana.
I think there were 5.
Really?
When she did, I had the research for the Saturdays at Saratoga and HRN where
I'll never
shows.
forget Waya beating Pearl Necklace. Anyhow, we'll start out with Sweet By and By and Eldina Del Sur. You know what's funny about this race? I'll tell you who takes the worst of it here. Eldina Del Sur picks up 3 pounds from this race, and Sweet By and By picks up only 1. Well, it just feels like she got the worst of it, I guess, because she won the Violet. I guess her Violet win cost her weight, but that seems unfair. Sweet By and By, let me say something about Sweet By and By, though. Are you at all concerned that she really needs the lead to run her very best race?
You know, I would be. Last race, though, she was able to rate and run well.
She did not win.
She didn't win. No, she didn't win.
She didn't win. And the only time she's ever won without the lead, she stalked in second in a bad race down at Parks.
Yeah, she beat State Prince.
But
I don't disagree with that.
She really is a horse that I think that is more effective when she is on the lead. That worries me a little bit about her.
Okay. Listen.
Otherwise, she's a horse to beat.
That's a fair fear to have. It absolutely is. We talk about it a lot.
Because
on this
with
program.
Too Charming is going, and Shanghai Rain's going to be forward, but I know that Too Charming's going. I mean, Eric's got to go with her.
Yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't be riding if he's not going with her. He's got to be going with her. And Tommy's got to want her to go, and it's also good for Eldina Del Sur. I think Eldina Del Sur can win as well in here, but I want to take the horse Eldina Del Sur's beating by a nose in this race. We'll take a look at Eldina Del Sur beating Theodora B at Monmouth Park back in September. This is 3 back for Theodora D and 2 starts back for Eldina Del Sur. I thought of the 2 that it's actually 2 back for 2 back for her.
You said it right.
I think they both had very good trips in here. I don't think it was a question. She could beat her a nose, but once again, let's look at that race. I don't want to make too much of weight, but it's still in her benefit, Theodora D. And I found a good stat for Mike Dickinson. He's 4. Michael Dickinson is 7 for 19, $4 plus ROI going synthetic to turf. It's a move that's worked for him. I say 5 years. It's probably really more like 2 because he's only been back trained for 2 or 3 years. So it's probably not a 5-year sample. I thought it was interesting. I thought she'd be the best price of the 3 contenders and that she has turf races that are good enough to win. And she's dirtied up a bit by slower races on synthetic, and she's really more of a turf horse.
And there's the word, right? The contenders. I mean, we scratched down to a field of 8 in here now. I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised if this is not. If the 4, 9, or 11 didn't win this race.
Well, I don't want to completely throw out Go Nani Go. Go Nani Go, at least, I mean, she's too slow in general. She has no races that are fast enough, but she did at least come back to life last time out, so I won't be shocked when she runs better.
We both liked her last time,
We did.
right?
It was bad picks by us. We both made bad picks.
Yeah, I'm not so sure she doesn't want to go a little shorter.
To mile 16.
Yeah, I know. I liked it last time.
Biggest pick she's ever run was at a mile and 16, so I'm going to have to beg to differ.
Okay.
And she did finish only a length behind Eldina Del Sur that day, for what it's worth. Race number 6 on the turf. Thought an interesting horse got in here in Betty F. Maggie, by the way, is out until she'll be back next Friday.
That's why I didn't use this horse. I didn't have to suck up because she's not here. Yeah, exactly.
You probably used it because you probably didn't look at the AEs.
I put Alanation on top, so I did look at the AEs.
It's a good scratch for you.
There we go.
Let me give you a hint. Horses out of town that are buried on the also eligible list.
Yeah, well, I just listen.
They don't ship, Anthony.
If in case they did.
So let's take a look at Hannah Smile.
Okay, let's do that.
Who you have second. It's one thing you don't see Michelle Nevin doing a lot. Winning off long layoffs on turf or dirt. She's good. I think she's a very, very big player.
And the short stat over the last 2 years, when they come back off these layoffs, this is just a 2-year number, they win it right around 25%.
On top of on turf.
No, I just have the short number, the overall short number.
I understand because you're looking at the.
I'm using the DRF. I said I was using the short number.
I don't want the stats at the bottom of the page.
I liked this horse's race last time. I thought she ran really well, and I think
She's the worst to beat off that race.
When you consider
She's
the
also
fact
close to
that
the pace
Michelle
leaders.
does not have, I mean, and she did a great job with my boy Tate. Great job with my boy Tate, right? So maybe that tide's turning. Maybe she's starting to, maybe she's figured out the chink in the armor, and now these horses off the layoffs are running well.
Well, a lot of times trainers don't win off layoffs for a reason. Just don't feel it's their benefit to be super aggressive off the layoffs. So I think it's much more than that, but we'll see.
I thought this horse ran
you
really
have
well
the
last
Dixie
time.
Twister on top, and here she is being La Puebla. I'm going to tell you, I think this is a significantly tougher field.
I don't disagree.
Last time, so
I don't disagree. I like betting horses that win, and I like horses that figure to get similar trips. And I just think she's going to get the same kind of trip.
Yeah, and she's going to look up, and there are going to be horses in front of her because they're faster than she is.
Yeah, but I think that she is accomplished enough, especially at the trip, at the 6 furlongs, which is kind of a, you see a lot of 5s, a lot of 5.5s. When we go over to Belmont, they run a lot of races at 7. This 6 furlong distance is something that's right in her wheelhouse.
I understand she's
a
6 for
specialist.
7. She has never faced a field like this.
I don't disagree, but you know what?
This is a significantly better field
For
than
a
she's
horse
ever
that
faced.
wins bunches of races, I mean, she has 7 wins in her career, I'm going to get 6 or 7 to 1 on her today.
No, you're not.
You think she's going to be less?
Yes.
Really?
People will fall for fall for the same nonsense that you're falling.
Oh, I
for,
don't know. I think
opinion.
Restruck. I think the horse you picked is going to be a short price. I think they're going to bet on Hannah Smile. I think Betty F's going to take money off the AE list.
She's not, but I'm not sure that I agree with you. I'm not sure if Restructure's 5-2 in here. I'm not thrilled. I'm not sure she's going to be favored in here. I don't like Restructure's last race, to be fair. I didn't like it. I thought her maiden race would be very tough in here. She also drew well towards the inside, and I thought she might work out the trip. I didn't think she'd be favored. That's why I picked her. Maybe David's right, and she's favored. The horses from Kentucky are tough to read here. Lady Worthington and Elstown. I don't like the races these horses have been running. I don't like Elstown's recent races. I don't think they were good, actually. And I feel the same way about Lady Worthington. I did not like that race at Keeneland. But Lead Guitar and Hidden Facts could arguably be better horses than these. So they're not impossible. But I've had a tough time reading those two.
I bet Lady Worthington last time at Keeneland. And I can tell you, she was...
I watched the race, Anthony.
Yeah, she wasn't good.
No, but they are better horses than she's facing here.
They are, but,
I mean, you're taking a horse that's just too slow to win. And I think I'd be careful because I don't think she would have run better than Elstown or Lady Worthington did in those races out of town. So I'd be kind of careful with that. I'm just hoping Restructure could work out the trip. She didn't run great last time, but at the end of the day, that Mother of Rose might just be better than these horses.
I don't disagree with that.
Tricky race, race number 6. Race number 7, 6.5 furlongs. This is a very, very, very tricky race. You've gone to this horse, Thesis. I know that we did see Jason Service win with a horse off short rest the other day, but you still have to realize that he is 2 for 16 over the last 5 years, coming back on 7 days or less, or 10 days or less. So this is not somebody you want off of super short rest. And what was his excuse to not win this race at 3-5?
He didn't really have one.
So why is he supposed to beat a tougher field today?
I think he gets a better setup today. I think he's going to be allowed to sit and...
He was just a speed horse who was standing on top of a dawdling pace. What am I missing? How can he have a better setup than last time?
These horses that are accustomed to getting these faster... I don't like the short... It's very hard for me
Get a better setup he got last time. It was awful.
It's hard for me to assess these horses off short fields, and he's faced a lot of them lately. I just don't like. I don't think they are a great gauge.
So he couldn't win at 3-5 in a 4-horse field, but you think he's better in a 10-horse field?
I think he gets a better setup in here. I do. I think they're going to go much faster in front of him. Obviously, in the bigger field, there's other speed in here. I think he gets a better setup. I think this is.
Where are his big wins from way back in the past?
No, there aren't big wins, but Service is running this horse back in a week.
Finger Lakes. Yeah, but Service came back on short. I'm not saying he can't win, but Service does not have good numbers off short levels. We've been through this.
How much running did this horse really do? They went to 7/8 in the 124. I don't know if he feels like this horse did a ton of running last time.
Well, he didn't do it right because it was bad. I guess he can win. It feels to me like he's going to be overbet because of Jason Service, in my opinion. On the outside, Rudy's got Bustin Hoffman. We've got a big stat for Rudy. When he lays him up, basically 6 weeks plus to 3 months, off the claim, dirt sprints. He's got very strong numbers, Rudy. The problem with Bustin Hoffman and I have the horse there out of respect to Rudy with these stats, is his last race is a total phony.
Yeah.
I mean, it was off a layoff. He was loose in the lead. Overall, his races aren't that good. But to be fair, he was good enough at the beginning of his 2-year-old year to run numbers with routine improvement, put him in the picture here, and he did run against some very good horses to begin his career, and he didn't run badly.
There's two things with him. One, your stat obviously shows that there's intent here. Rudy is very successful with this. I like the fact that he's running him for the allowance condition. Obviously, you know, the claiming game has changed. In this instance, Rudy's doing what the claiming game was intended for. He's taking the horse that has conditions, and he's going to try and win the conditions with him. So I can appreciate that, and I think that makes this horse even more dangerous without your stat. With the stat, it makes him that much more, that much tougher, I believe. The other thing is, if you draw lines to these horses' wet track races, he's off the board one time in his life. So
yeah, but he's
a nice horse to have.
Much better field. Than
Yeah, I don't disagree. But
I'm surprised you don't have Morgantown in after that. I rewatched his last race because I remember that race that you bet him and you were complaining. This horse got some ride last time.
Where's he been?
Where's he been, and is he really fast enough?
Right.
I don't think Bronx Bomber is impossible in this race, to be honest with you. His figures are fast enough to compete in here. What do you do with Imaginar, who's coming from Finger Lakes with big numbers, but his races in New York, I don't trust this horse coming to Naira. Oh My Papa started his career out fairly well. He's not impossible in here. I'm going to bet 7th is heaven. 7 is heaven in this race. I know that he's been a disappointment, but he ran last time. And actually, Linda's got these incredible numbers off of maiden wins and dirt sprints. It shows that they will move forward. When you consider that she's winning with horses and they're paying $9, these are not favorites she's winning with. She's winning with horses that are moving forward. And 7 is Heaven is a horse that showed real potential in his first couple starts with big trips. And then something went badly wrong. And that mile race day, Maggie didn't like the horse, didn't get bet on the track. Something went wrong. And Linda came back 2 months later, and suddenly the horse, obviously something was wrong with the horse. And the horse suddenly is now running races. I thought one of the reasons I liked this horse last time a little bit was that I don't think Jose gave this horse a good ride back. And I think Jose would probably tell you he didn't give this horse a good ride.
He was also against the track. That cool boy just got in front. It was a speed track.
Well, he may have been riding to instructions as well. Yeah, but he dragged
him back.
He dragged this horse out of the race. Now, maybe Linda told him to do that, to be fair, but it didn't work. It worked last time out. And he beat a pretty good horse in Freaky Style to win it. And I think he's the right horse going the right direction. He should be a square price.
You're going to get a price on this horse today,
It's a very tough race. I don't love anybody in here. But I think if the money goes like David suggests, and he's probably right, to 2 on the outside, I've got them 2nd and 3rd. I'm not going to be shocked when they win, but neither of them are that good.
I'm using the 4, 9, and 10. I'm going to pick 5 and pick 4. That's what I'm doing.
Interesting race. I think there's others in here that are not impossible. I'm going to use a little Bronx Bomber as well. Race number 8, the Cumley. I remember the Cumley was the early season 7 furlong race for the 3-year-olds.
Meadow Star.
Remember Ruffian winning. Meadow Star won the
Meadow
Cumley?
Star prepped in the Wood Memorial for this.
In this race?
Prepped for the Memorial, yeah, in
Really?
this race.
All right.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, now it's a 1 1/8. I wonder who's favored, Gold Standard or Arafana. We'll start with Gold Standard. And the surface of things, Gold Standard, this race we're looking at, which took a tough beat and easily beat Classic Fit. Losing to a horse like Lady Apple, who won I was there. She won that big race.
The Fantasy.
Fantasy, yep. Motion to Motion she beat. Who's also in the PPs here of somebody else.
Yep.
Oh, lights, action, camera. No, we can actually talk about the stupidity of that chart call in a moment. That'll make my day. I think she's fine. I don't have a knock on her. Her races before that aren't great, but she's one of the 2 horses to beat.
Agree.
With Arafana. Show Arafana's win at Saratoga. I did not like this horse at Saratoga at all that day. I couldn't understand why she was getting bet, and I couldn't have been any more wrong. She absolutely buried the field, and she's been good going long. I think she's run respectable figures that match up the horse she's running against, and to me, she's the right horse in here. I think these 2 are way the 2 horses to beat. They don't have to win, but they're way the 2 horses to beat.
Love this effort in Saratoga. And this is Kelly Rubley has done a fantastic job getting this filly ready. I mean, it's a real old school style. A couple of 7, she won 7/8 going the first time. She's an excellent trainer. Won 7/8 going out, which always impresses me. Another 7/8 race, a 1-turn mile at Laurel, gets her around the 2 turns at a mile and a 16th last time. And it's just been a natural progression of distance.
Feels like she's been pointing this race, too.
Yes, 1,000,000% that this filly that the eyes were on this heat at the end of the year for a 3-year-old year. I love when things appear that way. I didn't have to talk to Kelly about it, but it certainly appears that way. Yeah, I think she's the goods.
It's not an easy race, though.
It's not an easy race, but I think she's the goods.
I don't think stand for the flag is impossible in here for
No.
chase and service. That big figure in the slop, I'm a little skeptical of that number. 2 back. Last time's probably more accurate. She's going to have to run faster than she did in this race. And her only truly fast race was on a wet track. But she's not bad, and she's going out for the right barn.
Yeah, I mean, now that's the one thing I think that you do have to worry about if you like her, that she's 8-9 points better than any other number she ran with that sloppy track race. But this race last time was good. It got her around 2 turns for the first time, and she handled it pretty easily, especially the last 3/16 of a mile or so. But like you said, Andy, she's going to have to step up and prove that wet track race wasn't just that big number on a wet track race. She's going to have to run something close to that, if not a little bit better, to compete here.
Lights, action, camera. I should have brought the replay up just to mock.
This I would have liked to see because I actually bet her this day.
You don't do the public any favor with your bad chart calls. And I know we're spoiled in New York where the guys do a sensational job.
Are you worried? Were you bothered with the strolled past? This was far from.
I think Julian actually had to take about a 3-hour nap after this race. He worked so hard.
Take it from a guy that bet on it. This was no strolled past. Believe me.
The guy rode her harder than anybody's ever ridden a horse before. She did nothing like stroll past. Now she beat a pretty good horse in Motion to Motion, and we mentioned before, but that's still not fast enough to win, but maybe she's going the right direction. But strolled past, my God.
We were joking.
She saved ground the whole way, got an absolutely perfect ride after breaking a step slowly. I mean, she got a great trip and great setup, and she didn't stroll past anybody.
That's the short stretch, too, so it was even more impressive that she was able to get there. Julian gave her
they were moving up front. The race was collapsing,
sensational ride.
and he was beating.
Yeah.
He was riding.
He
was riding her.
We were joking
riding her
about
as hard
this.
as could ride a horse.
Steve Grabowski and Stefan Tefano and I were joking about this on the broadcast, the HRM broadcast Wednesday, because Motion to Motion came back to win the Zia Park Oaks on Wednesday. And we were joking about strolled past when we were talking about lights, camera, action.
Who benefits from nonsense?
I don't know about
like that?
strolling past. I mean,
Who
she
benefits from that?
was rolling,
the idea
but he
is
was
to give
riding
people
her.
an idea of what happened in the race, and if there's a trouble short comment, then you want to watch the replay and make your own judgment. And listen, people see trouble differently, but she did not stroll past. She was hard ridden. Oxy Lady, I like as a horse. We'll take a look at her finishing second in the Busher. I do think that she's better in these one-turn races. She ran a huge race here in the Tempted, and to be fair, she actually ran well in the Starlet in her next start, shipping out to California behind Chasing yesterday. This is a race she should have won. As you could see, Javier just got very unlucky in this race and got blocked behind horses. She dropped back. She would have won this race with a clear trip, and she's run very well at Aqueduct. It's one of the reasons I wanted to show this. In fact, you could argue the 2 best races she ever ran were at Aqueduct.
No doubt about it. I don't think there's a doubt about that.
She didn't even run that badly in the Raven Run. What shot did she have in that race on the layup? She was almost 100-1 in that race. I don't love the post draw. This horse is okay. This horse is okay. I wouldn't be completely dismissive of Oxy Lady. If it were a flat mile, I'd pick her.
Right, I think that
Mile and eighth
the eighth of a
worries
mile
me.
on the 2 turns.
But she did run well in the
Agreed.
Starlet in her big race, in her race
She
after.
did.
It's not like she ran badly shipping out there, so she has run okay. I'm an Oxy Lady fan as a horse. I don't know if she's good enough, but she's going to be an awfully big price here.
Okay.
Race number 9. I was surprised that you picked against this horse, Halliday. We'll take a look at horse name for Roy Halliday, the late great pitcher. He was
Hall of Famer.
Some pitcher. Oh, was he tremendous. This is a very good performance. Front run the Fettle, ended up grinding it out, finish ahead, and of course a big win for Seismic Wave, who was in the best part of the track. And I think it's important to note that Halliday was just off the rail, about 2 wide, and this was a day when you really want to be making outside moves in the Widener. I thought Halliday ran very well in here. I actually should have put him back up for second. The reason I put him third was I didn't want to put him on top. I wasn't sure that Kadar was going to run in here because of the connections. So I put him there. He's way the horse to beat, though.
I knew you were going to take Kadar. He's kind of your horse, so I wanted to stay away from him a little bit. He's the horse to beat. I'm going to tell you, Andy, I might be splitting hairs here. I worry about this horse.
Get a mile 16?
Yeah,
No, I agree.
I think that's the biggest fear.
I'm sure Todd feels the same way.
Yeah.
The mile 16 is a
You know,
little stretch.
I don't know if he wants. I don't know if he wants the mile, let alone the mile and the 16th. If he had a win or had run maybe a smidge better at the mile, I'd say, yeah, you know what, this horse might just be better than these. But I think he stretched at the mile, a mile and the 16th. I think might just be out of his scope. But I've been wrong before. If I am, if he shows up, he's going to win.
He's better than these horses.
Yeah, he's just better than these horses. But I
he's
can't
the best
take
horse
him.
in this race. But the distance is a question.
I can't take him with
You're
even money at a mile and a 16th.
I'll tell you a warning line I am certain that I'm not wrong about. David's got 40 under way too high.
Way too high.
He can't be a significant bigger price. He can't be a bigger price than the 2, 4, and even the 8 in here. I know he hasn't run well. Take a look at his Pilgrim, because the reality is his Woodhaven wasn't a bad effort 2 races back. This is him winning the Pilgrim as a 2-year-old and being some darn good horses in this race.
Yeah.
His Woodhaven, he was compromised by a horse that got absolutely loose in the lead and was allowed to dictate and was on a bit of a juggernaut at that time. And then obviously something went badly wrong in the Penn Mile. Jeremiah brings this horse back. Was it last year or 2 years? 2 years ago, Small Bear won this race, right?
Yeah.
Was that Jeremiah have him then, or did Gary still have him?
Jeremiah got him. Jeremiah got him right after the Jim
Raj
Dandy.
rode him that day.
Yeah, Raj got him.
Same silks.
Same
I was
silks.
thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, but I don't think anybody's leaving this horse off their tickets.
No.
Unless you're just convinced Halliday's going to win.
And listen, I'm a big believer that Halliday will be even shorter than the 8-5 David has. I think it'll
I'm
be
not
more,
sure
I
a
think
lot of
it'll be even
people
money.
won't have the same opinion as you and I
Yeah.
do, especially you, that mile and a 16th's a question. I think that's why
Okay.
David hasn't been higher.
Maybe.
You may be right, though. I'm not sure he's supposed to be 8-5. He probably is supposed to be 6-5 or even money.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's supposed to be short.
Put it this way,
He's
at 40
just
under is
missing.
10-1. I think he's going to be even money.
Right.
I just think that 40 under is stake-faced. The win of the Pilgrim. I don't think there's any way this horse goes off at this big price. For Jeremiah to be this aggressive off the layoff, I think is a good sign, right?
Could have found the 2 other end for him.
Yeah,
I don't disagree. I mean, I know
It's hard though. I mean,
Bobby Brady just now from him. I know he's facing 3-year-olds
Bobby
today.
Brady, deadhead.
I went to
Bobby Brady, deadhead. You know?
I think you've told me
discussed
that, yeah.
that before. I love that.
He gets to find a $150,000 stakes race against straight 3-year-olds at the end of November. So I understand wanting
Yeah,
to.
I'm not
but
sure
this
the
is-
number
this
of
is a
twos
tough-
he would have found wouldn't have been tougher.
Right.
We'll take a look at Kadar. This is Kadar's race against Value Proposition and Swamp Rat. Now, we'll show you the start, and this is something that has to be addressed. He's the one horse break from those 4. Kadar has not broken well in his starts, and that's a bit of a concern. He has got to get out of the gate, and it's not the rider's fault because it's 3 different riders. The reality is this was the best race he ever ran, and it was coming off a bit of a freshening. Then he ran him back in 18 days or 17 days. Then he came back a month later, and he didn't run well. Nobody was running well in that shot club. You know, they thought this horse wanted to go longer. I'm starting to think that we were all wrong. This horse did not want to go longer. This horse is Scat Daddy. This horse wants to go a mile and a 16. This horse did not want the longer distance races, and obviously is getting some class relief. I think this horse makes a lot of sense in this race for
He
Mike
did
Baker.
not run terribly last time, but he kind of looked like a horse that just
was
ran
out of
evenly.
position the whole way.
Out of position the whole way, evenly, and he just looked like a horse that didn't want that
Doesn't want
added
that
distance.
distance.
Now he's going to cut back to a distance he's probably more comfortable at. Yeah, I mean he's a player.
I don't like the Mark Cassie horses, and I can say that having done well with the winners. I know Mark's won a bunch of stakes here, but it's also important to note the 3 stakes that Mark Cassie won here were all horses that rode the bias. They all took advantage of the rail bias. 2 of them never leaving it, and 1 of them not until the late stage in the race that collapsed. I don't love these horses out of town, the races. I just don't think they're good enough.
Okay, I put Proliferate 4th. That Commonwealth was a weird race. He got stuck outside. He didn't have a good trip. Now he gets Jose Lascano. He's
Proliferate.
drawn. That's what I said. Proliferate.
I didn't think he had a bad trip last time. He's a little wide.
It was a
but
weird race.
that bothered into the lane, by the way.
No, he just.
That would be like this.
Yeah,
I just bothered
I know.
Anthony.
I got you, but I'm saying,
He was going nowhere in that
He gets
race.
saddled with these outside draws all the time. When he had the
Wasn't
inside
that
draw,
wide. He
ran
was a little
well.
over 2 wide at both turns. Wasn't that wide. He was bad. He was bad.
He
just
wasn't
wasn't
great.
good
He
enough.
wasn't great.
He just wasn't good enough. I thought Temple was the one you might want. Shipped out to California, didn't run as badly. I thought he was improving since the claim for Mike Maker. Thought this is one of those horses that Mike's been doing a good job since claiming it. I thought Temple was okay.
Maybe, yeah.
Race number 10. Race number 10 is a tricky race. Oh, you scratched into my horse.
Yeah.
Anthony gets more lucky scratches of terrible favorites than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, Hedonism was a horrendous favorite in here. I know he had a trip, had some trouble last time. He also never left the rail in his last race when the rail was good in a terrible race. So Anthony scratched my horse, so I'll switch my picks to 8 and 9.
I got lucky, right?
You got lucky the 7 scratch because he was a terrible favorite in this race, or she was. Go ahead, defend them. Go ahead.
I'm not going to defend anything.
Well, you picked them, so defend them.
No, this was yours. This is all about
No,
you.
defend your picks. I can defend mine quite easily, but you should go ahead.
Well, you know me and I'm a sucker for the big drop down, and I know this isn't as big a drop down. No, I'm sorry, this horse is not in New York, right? Yeah, this is a big drop down. Blinkers go on.
Okay,
I don't know.
the reason to like the
Yeah,
horse
why
is
do you
not
like
as a
him?
drop down, though why an actual opinion of why you like a
Yeah,
horse.
give me what's your
Leah does
actual
not have good
opinion?
numbers on maiden, special maiden claim or drops. This horse actually ran okay first time out. Not great, but okay. Did not run at all last time. It's a concern. I just took Hershey price, and I didn't like the shorter price. The whole thing changes now with the scratch of the 7. And there's not much value. But when you've got a horse like Lookin' Fine as Wine, 7 to 2 morning line, Lookin' Fine as Wine has no chance in this race. She rode the good rail, and she's just not winning this race. Unicorn Sally, I think, is okay dropping down. I know she ran in those state-bred races. I don't really care about that. I don't know about Unicorn Sally stretching out, but I'm going to use those 2 horses. John Kimmel has a big ROI with his stretch-out turf maiden numbers, but it's because of 2 very big-priced horses. He's overall 6 for 33. I just don't like anyone else in here. My Candy Girl, she just sucked up in a bad race. Somebody had to be 3rd in that race. RV Treasure was mostly on the rail in that race November 8th. I just didn't like anybody else. And the 8 and 9 to me were the new faces. The value of this race, though, completely came out when the bad favorite scratched. So I'm just disappointed in this race.
Yeah, the drop down comment was about Unicorn Sally because she's coming in a state bred maiden special weight
We understood
races.
that. We understood.
But like you said, I mean, they're the other. And it's
You
not
calling
like
the
they've
race
had
today?
Calling 7th. They haven't had an abundance of
Oh, it's
chances.
just now it's not a big deal anymore.
You asked if I was calling a race today. I said I'm calling the 7th.
I didn't mean to interrupt that.
No, it's just, you know,
Brilliant
it's not
diatribe
that they've had a
you
bunch of chances, but you just feel like that you want the horses dropping in for the tag.
See you again tomorrow. Same bat time, bat channel, bat everything.
Same bat, yeah, same time
I don't
tomorrow.
know, yeah.
10:30, 10:45, 10:45.
10:45. First post 11:50.
Good card tomorrow.
2 days, yes. Good card today as well.
Oh, sure, but that was established already. We haven't talked about tomorrow's card at all yet. I just wanted to point
And
out
you
that
want
it
to
was a
play the
card.
good cards at Naira Bets.
Use my promo code.
We'll match up to $200. Use the promo code Big A. It's for new members only.
That's me.
Also, 10% winners bonus on doubles throughout the day at Aqueduct, playing through the app only. With that, the one, the only, the man,
My man.
John Embrial, upstairs. He'll be with us in a couple of minutes with the scratches and changes.